Apparently, not even Electric Cheeses himself can figure out how to make those magic new 4680 battery cells for the Cybertruck, which obviously everyone wants because it was apparently designed by a slow 5-year-old who took inspiration from an old stainless steel railway urinal. Instant status symbol for your vacuous idiot right there. The fact that the new dry coating battery tech is fundamentally still not ready means two things, okay? A, that's why the Cybertruck is 2 years late and still not actually ready for production today. And B, the recent launch was a complete PR scam, and the batteries in existing cyber urinals are essentially experimental. So, dude, what could possibly go wrong? I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au, Newcastle, cheap, Australia only, website, card. The exciting but also exceedingly ridiculous, to a normal person, the excitingly absurd cyber urinals battery is made from these new cells called 4680s. Tesla is attempting to make them and failing much more than they are succeeding. According to Reuters, which typically relies on inconvenient facts and independent verification much more than Electric Cheeses, whose relationship with those is always, let's be kind, strained, the Messiah hasn't really figured out how to make the batteries yet. It's only been 4 years, or is that 5 years? And he is a genius, just ask him, dude. So, all under control. Reuters took the time to interview 9 people familiar with this issue who stepped up and spoke out on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the whistles they were blowing. #job security. Electric Cheeses is attempting to make the new 4680 cells using a new dry coating process for the electrodes. Apparently, Cheeses hasn't really cracked that yet, at least in respect of the cathode. Being able to ramp up battery output massively by dry coating electrodes rather than using the slower, more costly wet coating was a key factor behind Tesla's forecasts in 2020 that it would more than halve battery costs, cut investment significantly, and create smaller, greener factories. Reuters there. Anyway, Cheeses seemingly promised the world technology that just didn't exist in 2020 and still really doesn't exist today. Again, this is what he does. The whole gigafactory is frenetically stroking its vegetables right now and yet cranking out 4680s at a rate only equal to about 1/10 of Cheezes' promised cyber urinal production volume. In other words, cyber pisser production is going to be limited to about 24,000 units for the foreseeable future instead of the promised 250,000 until there's some kind of production miracle. This is what happens when you're a billionaire who never really grew up surrounded by yes men. You can just say anything you want and get away with it. Repeat. This report is sponsored by NordVPN. Get 4 extra months of Nord free now at nordvpn.com/AEJC. Say you're in a cafe one day and you think you've just connected to the free Wi-Fi. But in fact, a hacker has just inserted himself between you and the internet and he's about to start ripping you off properly. How would you even know? This is called a man-in-the-middle attack. It's one of the most common ways to get hacked. But there's no law that says you have to be the next victim. You need countermeasures, and that's what NordVPN does. NordVPN does the stuff that you and I don't understand in the background. Encrypting your data, hiding your IP address, locking everything down, basically. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC now. The 2-year plan discount is huge right now. Plus, you're going to get 4 extra months free. nordvpn.com/AEJC. Link in the description. Just subscribe, download the app and connect. One click later, your IP address is shielded, your online traffic is masked with NSA-level encryption across as many as 6 of your devices. NordVPN is the fastest VPN on the planet. It costs only about as much as 1 cup of coffee every month to keep your data, your identity, and your devices secure. Because your location is masked, you'll be able to access streaming and other services that might be blocked where you live. Plus, you can continue to watch your favourite content when you travel. You might even be able to score some great deals on travel and accommodation that are not available at home. That happens all the time. Go to nordvpn.com/AEJC now, boost your security and enjoy that discount plus those extra 4 months of free subscription time. It's totally risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/AEJC, link in the description, and thanks to Nord for sponsoring this episode. Now, if you've been dead from the neck up since before the pandemic, there's been quite a few relevant lies or otherwise deceptive, misleading commitments sprouting from the lips of the world's top bullshitter who isn't Donald Trump. Electric Cheeses declared in 2019 that the Cybertruck would be available in just 2 years, that it would cost less than $40,000 American, and have a range of 500 miles, which is 800 k's more or less in our money. Now, these claims are, of course, bullshit when you view them through the prism of today and with appropriate respect for the facts. The Cybertruck is 2 years late. It's still not actually available today. Not available in anything like the full range, not available in anything like the volumes promised, and certainly not available at the miraculous low cost our Lord Cheeses pulled out of his arse in 2019. It's roughly double the promised cost, right, when you base that on what is currently quote-unquote available today. And it does not have anything like the proposed range. These are just facts. And they're also fundamental aspects of a vehicle which I would argue have been profoundly bullshat upon from some considerable altitude. And this is mainly because Cheeses has committed to write all these checks that reality just never cashes. It goes on and on and on. And in case you were wondering, bullshat is a word. I just made it up today, obviously, but I verified it with the Shat himself just this morning. He's cool with it, so I'm okay with it too. So all of this is completely consistent with Electric Cheeses' other wacky bullshit commitments, including taking Tesla private, which was an outright lie, the base on Mars, which by rights should be there today, but of course isn't, the Hyperloop, I think that was mainly an intelligence test, and full autonomy for vehicles, still tantalizingly close, like the gold at the end of the rainbow. Just run, fat boy, run. We could be here all day detaining ourselves with things of this nature because he is a very prolific artisan of bullshit production. It really never stops, and the quality is first rate. He also claimed that the cyber urinal floats. Yes, who doesn't want that? To which I would retort, so fucking what, dude? Most cars displace more water than their weight, therefore Archimedes says they're gonna float for a time. But then what? It's not like they have a prop and a rudder, is it? He also claims that the cyber pisser is bulletproof. Oh! But it's not. Actual bulletproofing requires independent testing and certification to one of several standards. It's just not the same thing as showing a video of it being shot by a Tommy gun or even Joe Rogan having some undignified Robin Hood Men in Tights Cybertruck fetish. Achieving actual bulletproofing certification is a lot harder than that. Then there were a series of claims orbiting the magical space stainless steel, which would, quote, break the press if even Cheeses himself tried to make the cyber piss catcher look any less ridiculous by forming it into a slightly more vaguely automotive shape. Now, I know Electric Cheeses knows more about manufacturing than anyone currently alive on Earth, according to him.
At this point, I think I know more about manufacturing than anyone currently alive on Earth.
However, despite this impressive self-assessment, actual manufacturing engineering says that it's the steel part that's going to break first, not the press, if you work hard on that steel too much and attempt to form it anymore. Material science, not all that malleable, dude. Just like work-hardened stainless steel. This is all necessary for you to know for context to get this report, okay? The bullshit upon which the Cybertruck has been deployed is some of the Cheeses' best work. But he's not actually making too many statements about the battery, is he? Because that's a problematic fact. And he doesn't really understand what to do with those. It's like just better to get Joe Rogan and a compound bow so that people just look the other way. According to Reuters, the 9 Magic Battery whistleblowers said dry coating the anode in the 4680 cells was not problematic, but Tesla was struggling with the same technique for the cathode, the most expensive component in a battery. In fact, that process has only been proven in a laboratory and only for smaller storage devices, not giant 4680 cells. But no one has done it so far for large EV batteries at a mass scale and at a high enough speed. Tesla is the first one to try to commercialise this. The challenge is that not only does Tesla have to scale it up and speed up the process, it also must develop its own equipment and tools. It's daunting, to say the least. Reuters there, quoting a dude named Juan Gao, a battery consultant with 3 decades of industry experience. Obviously, he doesn't know more about manufacturing than everyone else alive, but still a pretty knowledgeable dude. Reuters tried to follow up with Tesla, of course, but the Church of Electric Scientology, quote, did not respond to detailed questions from Reuters for this story. If you ask me, that just adds more weight to the whole thing. Like, it's a shit sandwich and the local bakery will be closed for the foreseeable future. Oops-a-daisy. The whistleblowers told Reuters that 1,360 of the magic new 4680 cells were needed just to make one Cybertruck battery. Simple mathematics overlaid on the top of that says that 250,000 cyber pisses requires, take away the 1, 340 million 4680 cells, or about 1 million rolling down the line every day. That's a lot of cells, especially if nobody knows how to build them and you don't have the machines or the processes actually worked out. Electric Scientology's Gigafactory is only managing to crank out about 90,000 cells every day, and the miraculous new dry coat process isn't really proving any faster than wet coating, even despite repeated petulant prayers by email from Electric Cheeses himself. So, today's 4680 cell production capacity is less than 1/10 of the cells required for cyber pisser production at full volume. And of course, Electric Scientology also wants to use the 4680s, which it doesn't really know how to make yet, on the next miracle promise that's almost guaranteed to fall over, which would be the $25,000 small Tesla EV, which I think we should call henceforth the Model Shit. Let's have some truth in marketing, finally. Introducing the new Tesla Model Shit, available in 3 grades: Sandwich, Fight, and Storm. I'd really like to see that. Apparently, the part of the 4680 cell production process that is most resistant to miracles is mixing lithium, manganese and nickel with a binder, which is most probably Teflon or polytetrafluoroethylene, to make the cathode. You can do this successfully in a lab, but when you try to scale it up and speed it up in a giga-sized electric Scientology factory, the heat generated turns the batch into a, quote, gooey mess. And a gooey mess at the end is hardly ever acceptable, I note. This is true of almost every industrial process in which clothing is typically worn. So, in the domain of manufacturing economics, and I don't for a moment claim to know as much about manufacturing as the cheeses, a battery production line needs to keep scrappage rates below about 5% if it wants to be profitable, and hey, they all want to be profitable. Giga Scientology's 4680 line seems to be running A, too slow, and B, according to Reuters, scrapping between 10 to 50% of the units produced. Oops-a-daisy. This is what making a massive financial black hole for yourself with a bad idea actually looks like. In some cases, the flaws were hidden in the coating and did not show up for a few months down the road. In other words, Tesla doesn't quite know yet which dry cells are good and which ones need to be junked. That's probably the most chilling aspect to the entire Reuters report, which I will link to in the description. It means that P.T. Barnum of Electric Utopia is running another mad science experiment. Like, dude, as if Tesla's shitbox autopilot malfeasance was insufficient to get the regulators to shut this kind of conduct down once and fucking for all. In this mad experiment, the laboratory is ambient society, which would be you, your loved ones, etc., spread right across a massive public space, which we call the road system. The lab rats are, of course, us. In each urinal-shaped space steel test tube is unproved technology with massive amounts of stored energy in the hands of insufferable rich virtue signalling twats who know that they're safe from Joe Rogan with a bow and arrow behind a suit of space steel armour. Yes. If all that battery energy is suddenly released in an unprovoked way, in a tunnel, a car park, or some other inconveniently confined space, a spectacular cloud of deadly toxins is going to be emitted. This is a fact. And space steel, it's really not gonna help. This technology is so damn miraculous and exciting that not even the Lord Jesus himself can verify whether any particular urinal-shaped test tube is safe or faulty. And every Cybertruck comes ex-factory with about 1,400 chances to be transporting the dodgy cell. We'll just have to wait a few entertaining months and see if you're the lucky owner. But hey, the cyber urinal is made from space stainless, it floats, and the next time Joe Rogan fires a friggin' arrow at you, dude, you're going to be okay. As long as he doesn't hit, the window or a tyre. In related news, intelligent extraterrestrial life cloaked secretly in orbit, relentlessly probing over and over at night, still declines to make first official contact. Go fucking figure.